Quite a few people with their hands up, actually. I'll just go up the back of the audience there, the number of people with their hands up. Quickly go to one of those people. Go ahead, stand up, please.
Hi, my question is, you said that there's going to be a substantial amount of money from the Medicare put back into research. How do you expect that to be utilised if you are making university unaffordable for people to study such things?
Well, there's two issues there. The first is every dollar of savings in health over the next 6 years goes into the Medical Research Future Fund. That fund will build up to $20 billion in 6 years. That will be the biggest medical research endowment fund in the world. That will start funding new medical research in 2 years' time. From now, 2 years' time, new medical research. Over the next 6 years, in 6 years' time, it will double the amount of money Australia spends on medical research forever. And if we do that, because research has long lag times and it needs a lot of predictable funding, if we do that, we can get the clinical trials for the sorts of things that are going to deliver the cures that are going to make the health system more sustainable in the future.
You've made that point
Well,
earlier.
it is a good point, Tony.
Okay,
and just before I finish, there was a second question.
No, we'll come back to that because I've got specific questions on that subject as well. So you're watching a special edition of Q&A where Joe Hockey faces your questions. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Hockey.
Hi, Joshua.
I'd just like to know, isn't it true that you benefited from a free university education thanks to a Whitlam Labor government? So how do you reconcile your government's policy to abolish university fee caps, potentially making the cost of an education beyond the reach of an ordinary Australian, against the free education you received? And do you think it's fair to deny the ordinary Australian the opportunities that you were afforded thanks to another government and another time?
I really wish it could be free. I really wish it could be free. But it was, in fact, the Hawke government that introduced university fees, and it was various governments over time that have increased the university fees. It was the Hawke government that introduced HECS, which is the loan scheme. So when I started paying university fees, it was an upfront payment. And then they introduced a concessional loan scheme. And the concessional loan scheme that now applies ensures that no student, and the one that applied under Labor applies under us, no student pays $1 up front. They only start to repay the concessional loan when they earn more than $50,000 a year. So getting access to university and the affordability of the degree has nothing to do with the case there.
And what's happening in your budget to change when interest begins to be charged on the loan?
Well, it still starts, you start repaying the loan when you earn more than $50,000.
When do you start accruing
and
interest?
the issue is that the interest is going to be charged at the 10-year government bond rate, which is still much less than anyone can borrow at a bank, which is important, and it never gets above 6%. And they're the initiatives that we've introduced.
So just very briefly, the head of the group of 8 elite universities says that your fee deregulation, which he supports, will lead to average university fees rising by 30%. Do you accept that?
Well, I haven't seen that comment, but what I do say is a number of things that we've put in place are going to make it more accessible. For example, we are extending those concessional loans. Let me finish.
More expensive was the question.
Well, I'm giving you the answer. For example, we are extending the concessional loan scheme for the very first time to diplomas, to sub-bachelor degrees, to improve the accessibility right across the community. We expect there'll be an extra 80,000 people go and study as a result of that initiative. Now, and I think that is hugely important. We are also extending the loan scheme effectively to apprentices with trade support loans, $20,000 loans for apprentices, and if they complete their 4-year apprenticeship, we take $4,000 off the loan. So what we're able to do, and by the way, if there are increases in the overall cost of university fees, and that may well be the case, right, if that's the case, we
30%,
are taking...
30% wouldn't surprise you?
Yes, it would surprise me, actually. But having said that, of the money the additional money the universities make, $1 in $5 is actually going to go into the biggest low-income scholarship program in Australian history. So we give even greater access to people on lower incomes than they've previously had, as well as opening up the entire education system to the same concessional loans that university students get.
Okay, we've got another question. Last question, I'm sorry to say, with so many people with their hands up, but it's from Nicole Hopper.
I will be a first-time voter at the next election. I am concerned that the cost of my university degree will increase substantially, and I'm also concerned about disadvantaged people in Australia and overseas, following welfare cuts and reduced overseas aid. How could I possibly vote for the Liberal Party when none of these issues were flagged before the election?
Fiona, did you say? Is it Fiona? Yeah. Well, firstly, we did
Nicole.
actually, Nicole, sorry, I'm sorry. We did announce that we were going to cut foreign aid before the election. We actually did.
But not by how much?
Well, we actually did have a number on it. We've had to increase that. We've increased it. And why? Because as Bob Carr said, and this will be the only time I quote Bob Carr, as Bob Carr said, you can't borrow money to give it away in foreign aid. And that's exactly what's happening at the moment. We can't do that. And in relation to universities, I mean, you obviously go to a private school, and I assume your parents pay your school fees. And the fact is, if you go to university, and good luck to you if you do, the good news is you do not have to pay $1 to attend university, given that you're getting a concessional loan from the Australian taxpayers. It's only when you start to earn more than $50,000 a year, as exists at the moment, that's when you start to repay the loan. On average, over your life, because you do go to university, you will earn around $1 million more than someone that hasn't had the chance to go to university. And I think that's a pretty good return on investment.
Let's quickly go and find out. Okay. Has the Treasurer changed your mind?
What about the lower income people who can't afford the university?
Well, if you are getting a concessional loan, it doesn't matter whether you're higher income or lower income, you have the same equality of opportunity and the same outcome. And by the way, for the first time, as I said, $1 in every $5 a university gets from the changes is going to go to a Commonwealth scholarship scheme for lower income Australians. That doesn't exist at the moment. And we're actually going to provide those scholarships to help people from the most disadvantaged backgrounds afford university while they're there. So get to starting base. And after that, it's up to them. We'll give them all support we can.
Okay, I'm sorry.